Good Shabbos, everybody.
Good Shabbos.
When we look back at Jewish history, and we look at all the calamities that faced our people, and we've been talking about this a lot in our Jewish history class, it is truly a miracle that we are still here. Unless, even though our ranks are smaller than they once used to be, it is truly, and it's truly a miracle that we're here today celebrating our joys of Judaism. And when we get to this Torah portion, Vayekel, once again, it's a reminder of our obligation to observe Shabbat. And in last week's Torah portion, Ki Tisa, once again, we are reminded, we are commanded to observe Shabbat. But in Parshat Vayekel, this one is a little bit different of the prescription, meaning do and don't do. The prescription is, on the seventh day shall be holy for us. This is a day for complete rest for God. But whoever does any malacha, whoever does any work, it's a capital offense. And moreover, you shall not kindle for any fire in any of your dwellings on Shabbat. So if we were to look at this teaching, that whoever does any malacha, any work, will be a capital offense. And we also know from the Torah that if we were to leave our house, our domicile, our domain, it's a violation of Shabbat, and once again, we know what the penalty is. It's a day of complete rest. It's a day when our animals can't work. We can't carry anything. We learn later in the book of Numbers when a poor individual wasn't thinking, gathered stones. We know what happened to him. And we can't start any fire. So when we think about it, we are living before the rise of the rabbis in the ancient biblical period. It seems by the simple translation, the simple meaning of the Torah, that we're supposed to stay in our homes and do absolutely nothing in darkness for one day. That does not sound enjoyable. There's great questions when we ask our historians, when we ask my former professors, were these laws actually enforced? Some say yes, some say no. At the end of the day, we don't know. I didn't mean to rhyme. But here's the pivot, and all about pivots right now in our life. After the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE, our rabbi said, the way our Shabbat laws as prescribed in the Torah, they're not manageable, they're not doable. Oigevalt. Shabbat is the greatest gift that God gave to us because we get to take a break from our realities of the human condition, a day that we concentrate, a day that we make holy. And if you notice, when we light the Shabbat candles, we light first, and then we say the blessing in order to prevent us from violating the laws of starting a fire. The rabbis were very worried about this. And then as we move toward evolution, evolve, more transformative, we become better thinkers and better scholars, better students. The Jewish people figure out a way for more nuance, that minutia, to live by the law and not die by it. I'm assuming that many of us have an oven at home. More than likely, if you have the owner's manual, there's a Shabbat mode, meaning the oven stays on for a period of time, and therefore you don't violate the laws of Shabbat. The crock pot, as long as it's on before Shabbat, we are permitted to use it. It's kosher. And for those who have ever been to a dominant Jewish area, whether in Los Angeles or New York or in Israel, they have Shabbat elevators. You don't have to hit any button because that is an act of creation, but it will stop on every single floor, and therefore you're not violating the laws of Shabbat. Okay, so this is the genius of the evolution of our tradition. But as I'm preparing for this Shabbat, and this happens every single week for me, I learned something new, and this is what I want to talk about tonight. The greatest transgression per our rabbis is idolatry. And we know this from the previous Torah portion with the golden calf. So they're trying to establish a religious system that rejects idolatry and celebrates the true one God. And here is a remarkable teaching from our Midrash. But the Shabbat, the Sabbath too, for those who observe Shabbat, it is one as though as one observed all of the commandments in the Torah. And I want to repeat that. The act of us making this day holy by consecrating it, we are doing all of the 613 commandments. Now, this is Midrash. This is metaphors and interpretations, but it's a beautiful teaching when we think about it. Our rabbis wanted to infuse joy into our lives, and so they came up with a beautiful understanding that by making this day special, we are able to observe all of these commandments. Something new I learned. Last week we talked about the value of time. And this week, I want us to do something new. I believe that all of us here, every Jew in the world, a Jew in Alabama, a Jew in New York, a Jew in India and Israel and Argentina, wherever Jews find themselves, we are all obligated to write that next chapter of Jewish history. This is what we do whenever we face difficult times. So here is my challenge, my ask for each and every one of you. We survived because we studied. We survived because we brought Torah into our lives. We wrote, we studied, we debate, and we kept on doing this in order to transmit Torah to the next generation. I want all of us, once a week, to sit down. I'm just asking for 10 to 20 minutes. Study some Torah. It could be our Torah portion. It could be a book about Jewish ethics, Jewish mysticism, studying our liturgy, studying Jewish history. Whatever the compendium is of our sacred Jewish literature, I want all of us to set aside a period of the week where we learn something new about our tradition. If we are going to be writing the next chapter of the Jewish people, that means that we need to hit the books. 10 to 20 minutes a week of Torah, but that's the first part. Whatever you learned, whatever inspired you, whatever bothered you, whatever challenged you, whatever that may be from the essence of Torah, I want you to share that with somebody else in our community. I would love to hear from you about what you learned, but al chat kama v'kama, all the more so. What I love our Temple Emanu-El community to separate time, study a little Torah, and share your inspiration or your issue with another member of this congregation, a family member, wherever you find yourselves. We are students of history. And we know that whenever we faced adversity, we always went back to the source. So my challenge, my ask, it's kind of funny for the high holidays and most congregations on Kol Nidre Yom Kippur, it's the great ask that presidents do for fundraising. We don't do that. We're going to ask that we study Torah. It's okay, Piper. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear what inspires you and what challenges you, what you took away. And I promise you this, the more we do this, the more we share our studies, we will fortify our people for years to come. So we're adding this to the list of what we're going to do for Judaism post-October 7th. Study our Torah, study our liturgy, share it with a friend once a week. It will change our lives for the good. Shabbat Shalom.